Well, who would go so far as to beat up or kill someone to get their shoes or jacket, and why? That's what we're switching our focus to now. Back with Washington Post columnist Bob Levy, and joining us from our D.C. bureau is George Addison. He is a youth counselor who's worked with teens for several years and is a volunteer at the Idea Public Charter School in D.C. Mr. Addison, thanks for joining Bob Levy and me.
Thank you for having me.
Have things gotten so bad with our kids that they can only get any form of esteem through what they're wearing, through the status symbols they have on their feet?
Well, unfortunately, the way society visualizes everything and promotes the image-conscious society, that's what's going on. A lot of times I think the parents need to take more responsibility in holding the line on purchasing a lot of those high-ticket items, and it would somewhat deter what the industry would do. As a result, parents always try to up one other parent. You know, the Joneses try to keep up the Joneses, and many times we see that kids wind up feeling left out and want to be a part of that. And so if they can't get it through legitimate means, they tend to try to find other ways to do it. And in recent years, it's been through violence.
Mr. Addison, one of the saddest parts about all of this to me is that a child who buys, let's say, Michael Jordan sneakers is really telling the world, I am not as good as Michael Jordan, and the only way I can ever hope to seem as good as Michael Jordan is to buy sneakers that cost $150. That strikes me as absolutely absurd and really kind of pitiable in a way. Why doesn't it strike the kids this way?
Well, we have to remember they are kids, and you know, their minds are shaped and impressioned by what role models we throw out there for them as adults. And it is sad that a lot of parents can't hold the line. I mean, for instance, my daughter asked for those type of sneakers. She wants to spend $150, but I grew up at a time when that was unheard of, and for me it's still unheard of. So we had to compromise pretty much, and I take her to the outlet malls, and she can still get name brand items, but she's not going to spend over $40 for sneakers if I have anything to do with it.
Well, nor is wearing a Michael Jordan sneaker going to make you necessarily a better basketball player. Now, again, forgive me if I'm being too logical here, but it just seems to me that if the idea is to be good at basketball, the sneakers won't do it. And if the idea is to be cool, isn't that something that comes from within instead of something you can lace on your feet?
Yes, but I think, you know, for instance, when I was growing up, we had PF Flyers, and they told us we could run faster and jump higher. And as a kid, I do recall feeling like I could run faster and jump higher. So it takes the parent to kind of balance that with some realism and get kids focused on what the true purpose of the material things are in our life and how to better use it so that it doesn't become something that will get them killed or jeopardize their future.
So one other question, if I can here, and then, Kyle, I will let you get a word in edgewise. Where does a kid get $150 to buy a pair of sneakers? Most of these kids can't afford lunch.
That's my point exactly. The parents are feeding into the frenzy as well, and they're subsidizing a lot of these sneakers. Of course, you have kids out there who are doing some things that are illegally getting that money, but for the most part, the parents are caught up into the hype, and they're supporting the madness by doing that. I think if they showed the industry that they weren't going to go for it, they were going to hold the line on those prices, it'd make it more common for more kids to have it and take some of the luster off of them. As a result, when they do that, they make them something precious to behold, and kids will just about do anything to get it.
All right, let's go to our calls now. We're going to Tanya from Northeast first. Hi, Tanya.
Yeah.
Hi there.
Okay, my comment today is it has nothing to do with the price of the shoes. What it basically comes from is home. The morals are not being put into the children, and where the system fails us at is when you bring children up in front of a judge and someone sits there and says, okay, I'm going to put you on probation. Okay, they're not stiffing the penalties on these minors. Regardless of them being minors, they need to do the time just as if an adult went out there and robbed someone, because that's what's being put into their heads.
Tanya, I am not ready to say that a 13-year-old kid with the terrible judgment to shoot another 13-year-old kid over a pair of sneakers should go to jail as if he were an adult. I don't believe that's going to solve anything.
No, he shouldn't go to jail, but he should have some type of penalty. Okay, when they get put on probation, what does that teach them?
Right.
Okay.
What Tanya's saying is if someone goes out and does that in part, perhaps, I mean, maybe we can get into all kinds of sociological reasons and so forth, but Tanya, what you're saying is in part someone goes out and does that because they feel there'll be no price to pay for doing it. There'll be no punishment, in other words.
Well, I don't think that's right, Tanya and gentlemen. I don't think that any kid can expect, as in the case of the shooting at Union Station the other night, just to walk away from it. children are still subject to arrest and children are still subject to the law. Maybe they won't go to jail, but I suspect this young man who did the shooting is going to be under the watchful eye of the police for a good long time.
I'll bet you Tanya's seen a lot of young people get away with a lot of bad stuff, and I'd be willing to bet you that that's part of where her opinion comes from.
Well, your caller has a point to a degree that it does start at home, and that something must be done there. But just locking the kids up and throwing the key away is not going to be a solution for it in the long run. And like I said, the parents need to take more responsibility. They have a lot to say. It's their dollars that's contributing to the frenzy, and they can control that flow.
Here's the thing, though, as parents, we all want to give our kids the best, you know, and they tell us what they want, and we do give in. We want them to have whatever it takes to be cool. So on the one hand, we're trying to be good parents. On the other hand, we're sort of contributing, we're sort of perpetuating this thing of people thinking that they're not somebody because of who they are. They're somebody because of what they wear.
Oh, Kyle, come on now. Nobody's going to point a finger at you and say, you're a lousy father because you won't buy your kid $150 sneakers. My kid says that to me. I say, I am sorry. I know I took a vow never to start a sentence with when I was your age. And then I go on to say, when I was your age, I didn't even think about $150 sneakers. I thought about $10 sneakers, and well, the world hasn't changed that much. I'm sorry, no.